Hi everyone, this is Paul Lange from Disciplined Trading Strategies with this week's Trade of the Week video. This is for the week ending 11/8 of 2020. The stock was HBI. The date was on Thursday the 5th. This happened, well, in the morning and the afternoon. There was a tier 2 gap. That was initially the reason that I was looking at the stock this morning. Entry on a 1-minute B, the tail, and that's for the original play, management simple. I'm saying original play because this is a rare flip. This is traded twice, once short and once long. It's fairly rare for me to do that. I'll explain why in just a minute. First of all, as always, free stuff this week. There's nothing this week for free at DTS, and the reason is because we're kind of crowded with seminar student stuff. Members of the DTS seminar program are having events both Tuesday and Thursday night, kind of filled up the week. And also happy Veterans Day, or thank you to the veterans for Veterans Day this Wednesday. And remember, if you are bored, you can always visit that DTS free stuff page, the best source of information out there on the internet anywhere, more than you can handle probably in an entire week right now. The daily chart of HBI, the reason this was in focus this day, I always look for stocks that have some kind of picture of power. In other words, some reason you're trading on that day, some reason that there may be some activity or some kind of edge that we are looking at a movement in one direction. That was HBI. It was gapping down to here that morning. I felt that was going to be a fairly bearish gap. Again, there are a lot of things that go on in every chart. I always call them like fingerprints. And at a glance, most people would probably feel this is pretty bearish. I felt it was very bearish for a whole lot of reasons. The stock opened. You can see that tail that popped up initially. As you probably know, if you study gaps at all, you know that tail happened in the opening minutes or seconds of the day, and then the stock fell pretty quickly. So that's the daily chart showing the gap down and how big that red bar was at one point. Remember, that was all the way down here at one point at 1285. 15-minute chart doesn't really show you a whole lot here other than just giving you a general sense for the fact that that opening 15-minute bar is where basically all the profit is for the most part. You can't wait on some of these. I know sometimes it seems like better trading to wait for confirmation, but you have to know your trades, and sometimes confirmation means you miss the entire trade. That's one 15-minute bar, and just that one 15-minute bar would make your entire day's goal as a day trader. The 5-minute chart, here we can start to see a little bit more information, and that's where we opened. The stock ran up and ran down, and right in there somewhere you'll see the entry. You'll see it better on the next chart a little bit. Target 1 on the initial free fall, and then target 2 as it was maybe starting to bounce. And note, I didn't get the low. You're never supposed to get the low per se, but I was really just one bar off from the low. So that was an excellent trade overall, I thought, and an excellent 2 targets to be taking. Here's the 1-minute chart, gives you a little better detail. You see I got in right in there on that second bar going into the third bar right in that area. On a trade like this, you have to know that it would probably run higher initially. That's one of the things you understand from studying gaps and studying the charts. And I could have maybe even gotten a little bit better, but it was unclear how much it would run. And you have to remember that tail forms very quickly. That's not taking a long time to form. That's forming in a few seconds. So you have to be able to get in as well as know when to get in. Also, just a reminder, some of these Trade of the Week videos are gap plays, but I only do about 25, maybe 30% of my trades are gap related. There is an advantage many times to gaps, but sometimes gaps give you no edge at all. So I like to look at a variety of things and pick the best of the best every day. 1-minute chart, target 1. Just as soon as we started to bounce, we're in pretty much a free fall, and as soon as we reversed, took some money off the table, could have been the low for the day, kept going lower. Target number 2, same concept, just missed the low by a little bit. And it's very rare for me to turn around and trade a stock in the other direction. I'm very big on the fact that when you have a bias on the stock, when you have a direction you feel that it's heading, that you play that primary direction. But every once in a while, you get one that shows the signs of reversing. So here we go back here to the 5-minute chart, and naturally this through here is where I shorted it, but it was still on my screen later in the afternoon. The daily chart actually hit an area, and as we popped, consolidated, and broke out, I got in right in there at 1 o'clock. Now this one had to wait a long time. You can see it was 2 hours later and still sitting here going sideways, and then it popped. Target number 1. And I was quite lucky because I had walked away, as many of you know, in the afternoon. I'd like to be in a couple trades, have some profit done, and walk away. I walked away on this one. It hit target 1 while it was gone. And luckily, I returned to the screen somewhere up in here. and started a trail on that back part of it, and whack, you can see it was a good thing I did, or I would have given back some of that back profit. Wouldn't have been a big deal. I still would have been around target one. I want you to notice one of the reasons that I'm not big on flipping things is when you're trading against that initial bias, sometimes it's tough. And you can see entry here, boom, it got whacked. Tried to bounce, it got whacked. Luckily, the buying was here. I recognize that, so it didn't go any lower. But it took 2 hours for the stock to absorb the rest of the selling, because the very reason it's bearish that day, it still maintains some of that bearishness, and you have people selling from off the chart over here. 1 minute chart, just showing you a little more detail. Not a lot to learn on the 1 minute chart here. Boom, that was the entry on a real significant sign of strength in there. You notice despite the waiting for a good entry, it still pulled back to this area in here and then took off. And targets 1 and 2 are both off the chart here because that's a 1 minute chart. So a rare flip on HBI. The primary trade was short, and that was the way that I liked it initially. It was on the screen, and like the long later, money in both directions. For those of you who like this style of trading, come join us in the DTS Trading Room. Just head over to disciplinedtradingstrategies.com and figure out how to sign up for the DTS Trading Room if you are interested. You can always email me. I'm Paul at disciplinedtradingstrategies.com. Until next time, this is Paul for DTS. Good trading, everybody.